Hello and welcome to the agenda on Hughes of the World. I'm Graham Hughes and I'm joined, as nearly always, by Phil Moorhouse. How you doing this afternoon, Phil?
Too hot. Everything's too hot.
Did you get a good night's sleep last night?
But it was quite funny though, because when I woke up too early because it was too hot,
Yeah.
what I was greeted with was the news, first of all, because the way it came to me in order was, so Farage was satisfied that he'd won, but he wasn't going to stay around for the results.
Yes.
I thought to myself, oh, it's not good. And I watching a low turnout, and then the turnout's over 44%. That's very creditable for a by-election, but for a by-election where none of the major parties are standing up against him,
yeah,
that's massive. And for Binface to have won 27% of the vote with a large turnout, like 9,500 votes, because that, the people were thinking, oh, he might get 3,000 votes. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
like 9,500.
I thought 2,000 votes would be an achievement. I mean, he's only ever got like 100 votes before.
He's never won it. Yeah, well, he had 300 odd, I think, against Rishi Sunak.
Yeah,
but he's never won his deposit back. Never even close. He has this time. 5 times more than he needed.
Yeah, no, none of the other candidates got their deposit back.
No, well, those are also serial permanent deposit payers. So
yeah. Well, before we crack on, I just want to say a big hello to everyone watching. Obviously, I've only just finished doing morning brew this morning. I've been awake since 3:20 Spanish time, which is actually 2:20 UK time. So I've been up since 2:20 in the morning. Had to walk across the city, get the hire car, put the hire car back in the right hire car slot. The hire car place was closed. I was in Mallorca all week, so I've just got back, just got back from the airport, did my morning show, and now I'm here. So if I start babbling incoherently, more so than usual, then that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But big shout out to Billy and Diz and Jenny in the chat. We've got Fat Spicer, we've got Hannah. We have got Warren Peace. We've got Adam Mayhem in the chat there as well. Martin Harrow and Liam. Hello. If you'd like to join our friendly friends in the friendly chat, just hit the friendly subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute and you'll be able to join the discussion. So I think this went as well as could be imagined.
Couldn't have gone any better.
For us, not for Farage.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Not only did he chicken out, he wasn't there at the count.
No.
That and then he blamed the police. He said, "Oh, the police wouldn't let me." And the police we didn't say there was a problem.
He's done this before. Again, this is the boy who cried wolf. He couldn't do surgeries because the police told him. No, this was the parliamentary authorities advised him it would be safe to do so. To which they said, "Bollocks, did we?" There's been another one in the past where he said the police said this thing and said, "No, we haven't." This is another one. But here's the thing, Nigel Farage, this was his day where whatever he said, he could give this victory speech, right? Where he gets to blame, he gets to say, well, there's no point in the investigation because ultimately the last process of the investigation is going to the people. They're the ultimate jury. Well, I've gone to the people earlier, which is missing the point that the case has not. This is like halting a trial after the first half an hour and then telling the jury to decide before they've had the evidence shown to them. But nonetheless, that would be his argument. And that would then be on all the bulletins.
Yeah.
But he denied himself that chance. So now if I look at the BBC, he is 2 of their top, of the new, not political news, just news stories. He's in 2 of their top 7. And neither of them are good luck for him. And yet, if he'd have made his victory speech, then one of those news stories would have been what he said.
Yeah.
That would be him propagating his message like he always does. But the reason he didn't do that is presumably because he thought that it would just result in footage of him being laughed at for trying to claim that all these people behind him are the establishment.
Yeah.
When you can't get less establishment than people. Some of those, 3 of the candidates didn't even get 10 votes. And you need 10 eligible voters to nominate you to get yourself on the ballot. So 10 people cared enough to let him stand, but not enough to vote for him.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. The 2 news stories on the front page are the BBC page if you're in the UK. Farage faces renewed watchdog probe after Clacton by-election victory. So the first headline isn't
That's
anybody
not what he
Clacton.
wanted to hear.
It's renewed watchdog probe. And the other one is Farage's by-election victory won't stop questions about finances.
And it's because he's doing the Starmer thing. He has turned down an opportunity to get his message to the public.
Yeah.
He even cancelled his own media operation.
And also his excuse for not going to the count. Also, like he said, it was the police, and then he changed his story as he always does. You know, it was the 5 million was for being a good egg, and then it was for Brexit, and then it was for security. He said he got that money for security, and 5 million can't pay for some security to go to account.
Well, exactly. I know, it's nonsense.
Like, and then they changed it as well because I think originally they said, oh, it was some dangerous thing, right? But then they said, oh no, it'd be humiliated, or they were going to laugh at him.
He would be humiliated,
and it was just like, so.
I mean, that's true. It would be. People would have laughed at him.
So he's chicken.
Whatever he tried to say in his acceptance speech, he would have been laughed at. Unless what he did was to stand up and for once in his life show a bit of humility and say, I've obviously pissed a load of you off, I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, he could have just stood up and said that, but he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the narrative of the people versus the establishment. I mean, this is a guy that, thank you very much to Brad W for the super chat. That's very kind of you, first super chat of the afternoon. Farage turning up to Clacton is so rare, it makes this week's solar eclipse look like a monthly event. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Brad. Well, also, by the way, if anyone wants to drop, sorry, Brad's didn't count because I hadn't set the goal up, but if we succeed in getting the super chat goal, Mike Dix has made something rather special for our confetti cannon. Yeah, I know. But thanks, Mike, if you're watching. But it's ready. Well, I've primed the cannon, the confetti cannon.
I saw his tweet yesterday where he photographed himself outside the polling station voting. My first thought was, that's the first verifiable bit of evidence I've seen he's even been in Clacton the whole campaign.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, and I'm not suggesting this is an example of electoral fraud or anything, but I just think to myself, why is he allowed to vote?
Yeah.
Because you don't live there. Are you allowed to vote just because you're a candidate in a constituency you don't live in?
Well, doesn't his girlfriend have a house that was £800,000 and
they don't live
and didn't have to pay stamp duty on it because she earned that as a waitress?
A friend of my wife's, her and her husband have got a holiday home in Whitby. They don't vote in Whitby.
Well, yeah. So the analysis in The Guardian is headlined, futile Clacton by-election has done Farage no favours.
No, he's worse off. He's now materially worse off. Do you know the only saving grace for him? The only thing, if I was
he's mortal.
If I was to try and, be charitable toward Farage and give him, because look at everything, every metric, right? First of all, it hasn't stopped the investigation. It's just paused it. Second of all, he has lower approval ratings than on 7th of July when he triggered this nonsense. Yeah. His party has lower voting intention polls. The questions have actually, if anything, gotten worse. And now he's developed some sort of paranoia, of strategic or otherwise, that he doesn't want to go out to the public. So on every metric, he is worse off than 7th of July. If I can think of anything in his favour, it is this. So let's say the investigation goes on, and it finds him guilty, and due to a number of factors, he gets his 10-day plus suspension, recall petition, which will 100% be signed. So there's another by-election sometime next year, right? So his only saving grace is this, and this is where I'm a bit conflicted. Count Binface seems to suggest he'd go for it again. Now, I'm looking at this result and thinking, I think the Conservative candidate might be able to run him close.
Yeah.
But if Binface stands again, Farage will win, because you'll have the vote split all over the place. That's his only saving grace.
Past the post.
Yeah, that's the only saving grace. However, the bigger picture is this. I don't care if Nigel Farage is elected MP for Clacton for the next 20 years. If over 22,000 people yesterday, and as a combination of mail-in ballots, voted for a man who has done nothing for them. I looked up for a video early this week because he claims he's been representing Clacton in Westminster. So I looked up on Hansard. He has mentioned Clacton in 2 years, 6 times. And in none of those times was he talking about Clacton. Everyone was him using them because he wanted to talk about the thing. He said, oh, the people of Clacton want me to talk about this. None of it was anything to do with Clacton. He didn't shine a spotlight on anything positive happening in Clacton. He didn't shine a spotlight on any problems in Clacton.
Yeah.
So he has not represented Clacton, and he hates the town so much that he couldn't even stay 24 hours. He managed through gritted teeth to put Clacton in his sat nav.
He despises
to get there to vote, get his photos taken.
Full of plebs.
Have a party. He's boasted about having a party there. I had a party. That was I brought
it's full
party
of the hoi
to
polloi.
you.
Hang on, but what about his Farage Fest that he had last night? He must have arranged that quickly after the police. The one he had that wasn't in Clacton. He must have arranged that quite fast after the police told him that he couldn't go to the account because of reasons.
We know that's bollocks anyway. But he could not even stick around for the results and to give to talk to the public. He hates. So over 22,000 people voted for a man who despises their town and them.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'll tell you where he'll probably. I don't know where he is exactly, but I can have a guess. I bet it's in Mayfair. I bet that's where.
Oh yeah. In the private gentleman's club.
Yeah, exactly. Paying 150 quid for lunch.
Yeah.
So I mean,
what do you think the future holds? Okay, so let's say that the parliamentary inquiry into his dirty dealings and this bung that he was given by this Thai businessman who's got a Thai name now for some reason.
He lives in Thailand and he's totally integrated there. He's a good little immigrant. You know, he's got, I'm fully involved in this culture. I've even adopted a new name. This is my home now.
But by the things that Farage is trying to put into place and by the things that Farage has promised in his manifesto or his contract or whatever the fuck he called it, and by the fact he had a meeting with Andrew Bailey, the governor of the Bank of England, to plead with him to change the rules about cryptocurrency to make his money more money for his Thai mate. Where's his Thai mate going to spend that money? It's not going to be in Clacton. It's going to be in Thailand, in a ping pong bar somewhere.
Of course it is.
So he's impoverishing British people to give money to his mate to spend in Thailand.
Well, exactly. That's his entire career. His entire career has been paid by centimillionaires and billionaires to enrich themselves at our expense.
Yeah. And boy, has he's enriched himself. Nigel Farage has got, I mean, he could barely get a Coots bank account just a few years ago now. Look at him.
I know.
It's disgraceful. But going forward, so the investigation starts again into this bung that he was given, clearly. That's going to wrap up. I mean, it might take a couple of months. I don't know why it would take so long.
It could take several months.
He was given money, didn't declare it, went to meet the governor of the Bank of England.
At the point at which he triggered the by-election, they were adding more to the investigation because more had come out.
Yeah.
So it could end up lasting a while.
Yeah.
I think the by-election will be next year if it happens.
Yeah. And then that happens. Do you think he'll run again?
Yeah. Because I do actually now, again, I'm conflicted on the Binface thing. I think Farage will win. And then he will get to do his, I stood up to the establishment because he'll actually have a Tory candidate to beat and he'll beat him because if Binface turns up, even if he doesn't put loads of effort in, which I think he will, I mean, Binface ain't going to win.
There are echoes of Trump in all this when he's clearly a fucking crook and yet people love him and that they'll sacrifice the children at his altar.
Simple psychology.
Have you seen the interviews where they go up to people in Clacton and go, so what's Nigel done for Clacton? Nothing. Are you going to vote for him? Yeah. And that was a Labour MP or a Tory MP or any other party. They'll be like, no, he hasn't done anything. But because it's Nigel Farage, because they feel like he's the man who looks out for their needs,
it's like Trump. There's the Trump thing. They always produce that shitty AI imagery, which is like they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way.
Yes.
When they're trying to play the victim. Oh, but it's not, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just standing in the way.
I think the shades of, and this is in America as well, I think the shades of people who write love letters to serial killers in jail and also people who admire gangsters. Like, and like that Monty Python sketch with Spiny Norman where, they're like, oh, they're wonderful. The Deadly Piranha Brothers. They were always nice to their mum. You know, and it's like, really, these people, they kill people, you know, for looking at them funny. Oh, yeah, but they only killed their own. And you're like, why are you making excuses for criminals? You wouldn't do this if there was no personality cult behind it. If you just look at the details of what this person did, whether it's Trump or Farage, you'll say, right, that's it. They should be put in jail and throw away the key.
It's just tribal behaviour. You see it all over the place. You see it from people you might think are reasonable. They will instantly believe and attack anyone that's seen in an out group and instantly defend no matter what they've done someone in the in group. Oh, they meant well, or they didn't mean
well,
that.
It's not just the right that do that, Phil. Fucking tankies on the left. I mean,
you don't even have to be political. Just people do it. People, unless you're aware of it, unless it's one of these things, that it's just human nature. Unless it is, I always just compare us to chimpanzees because it's the closest primate, I suppose, to us in many ways. You know, and chimpanzees, and you'll look at a documentary of a chimpanzee like tribe, and it's lovely, and they're grooming each other, and they're really nice to each other, and they play with each other. Aren't chimpanzees lovely? Then you see a chimpanzee patrol go out and come across another group of chimpanzees, and they'll beat their brains out with a club
and eat them.
Yeah,
no, seriously, they'll fucking eat them. Like it's horrific.
Yeah.
One of them will go to the bottom of the tree and pick up a couple of sticks and play war drums on an empty trunk. Do you know what I mean? On a hollow trunk. Sorry, like here come the war drums. Like chimpanzees are crazy. Anyway,
we're
99.4% chimp, according to geneticists. Reverend Kathy, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Farage will now have to face a face-to-face interview with the Standards head. What happens if he chickens out and doesn't turn up?
Well, it's not going to look good for him, is it?
Well, you know, he's guilty as hell. I mean, seriously, this is like O.J. Simpson all over again. Only more guilty.
Well, I mean, the thing is, a lot of people looking at this parliamentary investigation, for me, you know, I mean, there are criminal investigations going on right now. That's where there's real consequences.
Yes.
But again, you have to hope that they don't let it string out like they did with like the SNP motorhome and the Moan. Moan's still going on. They haven't dropped the case and they haven't charged anyone. I mean, we were getting news last year that they were close to bringing charges and they haven't yet.
Yeah.
And I get probably the reason why it is, because if you're rich, you can afford lawyers to pick over every little bit of procedure. And if they get you on anything, so you have to proceed
an I that wasn't dotted, a T that wasn't crossed.
But we have to avoid the same, although I think that the danger is much diminished. Yeah. We have to avoid the Trump issue of letting this string out too long because we need this investigation. If it might not result in charges, maybe nothing illegal was done, or if it was, maybe not enough evidence. Yeah, it's all right, you raising your eyebrow. But maybe there's not enough evidence for whatever reason. I'm not about charging people. I'm not about putting them in prison just because I don't like them.
The money was just resting in my account.
You have to have a robust system. But if there is evidence and they can get it and they can get charges, they need to get those charges in long before the election.
Yeah. DTK says police said massive threat. They actually said massive twat. That there will be a massive twat at this count if Nigel Farage turns up, which he didn't. And the fact he didn't turn up, surely that is something they can just beat him over the head with now, because we already have enough jokes about the fact he's never in Clacton. He doesn't even have the respect to the people of Clacton to go to the result of the by-election that he caused. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, don't the people of Clacton pay for this election out of their their council taxes? Is that right?
I'll tell you the only thing I'm disappointed with here is that Andy Burnham had stuck anything out on Facebook where he's actually doing really well. He should have stuck something out. He should have stuck out a photo of him talking to Count Binface, even though by his own admission his suit smells like Clacton. Or I imagine. It's not a dog town. Say Grimsby. And a guy in a fox suit, like, you know, laughing and joking with them. He should have posted that photo and said, I didn't call members of the public, what did he call them? Nobodies. What he said. He said, why should I be up on that stage with those nobodies or something? I can't remember his exact words. It was something like that. And
real winners,
man of the people.
Real winners.
So I wish Andy Burnham would have put something up there because he's the Prime Minister, you can find out where Nigel Farage. If he was in Mayfair, he'll know about it, right? Get MI5 on the job. But just or go to BMW, hack into his car. Where's his car? Let's see where his car is. Probably shouldn't do that, just to be clear. But you know, just sort of say, while Nigel Farage enjoys his 200 quid lunch at Harvey's or wherever the hell, then you know he couldn't be asked to be with the people of Clacton on the day, and have the photo of him, you know, with the people of Makerfield.
Yeah.
I just would have liked to have seen something that like just pokes, and there's nothing, even on his Facebook, which is taken seriously. So I'm a bit disappointed at that, because you want to do positive stuff, but you can have a dig. It's politics at the end of the day. You can have a dig.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping that. I mean, I don't know. I think that if you're right, if there is another election, and if Binface runs, but do you think a lot of people who voted for Binface this time will shift their? They're not going to vote for.
It could go all over the place.
Yeah.
What you want to beat Farage, it's unfortunate to beat Farage realistic. Like in 2024, I honestly didn't know who the tactical vote was, just because Labour in by-elections have been winning places they never should have won.
Yeah.
So I did think, well, maybe. So
he was a really good candidate, wasn't he? The Labour candidate for Clacton in 2024. I really liked him. He was really charismatic.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah, he's nice. But I would have, but Labour will be even with the resurgent Labour now, there'd be no, because they wouldn't traditionally be there. It was only because of that 2024 thing, that tidal wave towards Labour, and even then they got like a third of the vote. But they were beating rural areas, but that's not a rural area. So it's a town full of retired Thatcherites, right? So Labour no. The candidate who can beat Farage is the Conservative candidate. It's the guy who I've forgotten his name now, but he was quite popular there. The Conservative candidate. He was one of the. You know how sometimes you'll get a candidate who loses because there's a change in the wind, and voters will actually apologise to them. It says, you're a really good MP, but I've got to vote for this party. There was that sort of thing going on because he was really popular there. So they will presumably stand him again. I see no reason why they wouldn't, unless, of course, he campaigns for net zero, in which case Badenoch will elbow him. But assuming he's willing to toe her party line, he'll stand again. Oh, someone said Giles Watling. Thank you very much. That's it. That rings a bell. So he'd be the only one. So you would need people to recognise that. Whereas if you've got Binface there again, and I just thinking.
Garrett,
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Farage wins. What matters is he can't do anything. He doesn't even turn up to Parliament as a backbencher. You know, the question is, how do you keep him off the government benches? By making sure that his appeal doesn't spread across the whole country. And it's not doing. In that poll, more people, across a national poll, which is irrelevant for a by-election, but more people said they would like Count Binface to win than Nigel Farage nationally.
Yeah.
And Nigel Farage's personal approval rating is now significantly below his party's.
Yes.
Whereas Andy Burnham's personal approval rating is significantly above his party's. So Andy Burnham's got more room for growth to pull the party up. Nigel Farage effectively now is pulling his party down.
Yeah.
He's no longer boosting up because he is personally approved of less than his party.
Yeah. I always feel like the way that Trump uses language, like, you know, crooked Hillary, the Biden
Sleepy
crime
Joe.
family.
He should talk Sleepy Joe. He's always falling asleep.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe.
Like I keep saying, every time he does one of these televised Oval Office meetings now, there's like they run a book on whether he's going to shit himself or fall asleep first.
Yeah.
Or both.
These are both. Did you see that clip this week with him and Robert FK Jr.?
RFK Jr. when they're saying, well, we don't really need to give him that.
And they had that mad woman who was dressed as a child, just sort of moving about like she was on drugs, like she was probably on PCP or something.
The American government's now run by a circus. It's tragic. The most advanced economy in the world. It's just... It's unbelievable how it's happened.
That sticks in people's heads. And if everyone started calling him crooked Nigel Farage, oh, you voting for the crook, are you? Oh, crooked Nigel Farage. that kind of thing sticks.
It does,
You know, obviously.
And that's why I'd like to see Andy Burnham sticking it a bit, because he could carry that message.
Yeah, crooked Nigel Farage. Look, he's a crook.
Sleazy. I would use the word sleaze because sleaze became this big thing in the major years, and it came back again under Boris Johnson.
But nice and sleazy, does it? I think we're in a different moral era though, because I think now, back then, if a politician cheated on their wife, that was it. The career was over in the 90s. But now, you know, you got a president of the United States.
It is different now, yeah.
You know, they had a picture of like him with his kids, and it was like, so that was the daughter of the first marriage, and he cheated on the mother of that one with that wife, and then he cheated on that wife when he married her with that one, and it was like explaining all of Trump's infidelities that resulted in his children.
Yeah,
and it's just like no one cares anymore about that kind of thing, but getting it into people's heads that Nigel Farage is just in it for the money. He's so clearly just in it for the money. And when he seems to be flailing about, like, you know, the boat numbers were going down, and he's like, oh God, what am I going to do now? You know, I don't have any other tricks. They've got nothing on defence. They've got nothing on welfare. They've got nothing on education. They've got nothing on the NHS, except maybe privatising it.
Oh, no, we're definitely privatising it. They have an official policy of getting rid of the waiting lists by transferring all treatments to the private sector and handing out vouchers. But of course, that would cost a lot more, so the money will run out, and then there'll be no more change. And the ones who can't pay for it, once the vouchers run out, that's it. You've done. Yeah, don't get ill again.
Have Farage against a Tory candidate and no one else. The other party should agree to that.
They won't. Honestly, they really can't. What they can do,
they can, Phil.
No, they can't. No, they can't.
They ignored this one.
Only because if the Conservative candidate had stood, they wouldn't have done. That's why I gave props to the Conservatives making that decision.
The argument,
you know why? Because all the actual activists, the people you need to do your work for you, are incredibly tribal. They're the most tribal people of all. These are people who, in 2024, you had Labour activists in a Tory Lib Dem area who wouldn't just calm it down, and you had Lib Dem ones saying, like, all of this stuff goes on. The local, the party activists, the ones who, you know, bless them, wear out their shoe leather and they put in all this effort. But the reason they do that, particularly in areas where they've got no chance, and you find that these people tend to be, if anything, more zealous in areas they've got no chance in, because the more reasonable people can't be asked, why would you flog a dead horse? Yeah. So a higher proportion of your activists are the really zealous ones, and this all creates this echo chamber, and they really hate every other party, and they'll come up with any excuse to hate any other party. And it's really easy to hate the Tories, right? So no, they can't. But what they can do is stand a candidate and then say, why don't you concentrate on these? Because because of your canvassing, it's not about the overall constituency. You know in which areas you've got this. So there will be some areas where Labour can hive off some votes from Reform UK, where the Conservatives will never get those votes, but Labour can. So Labour could actually sneakily do a solid and direct their activists down that street, to try and win those votes. And that, because first past the post, so that all helps. So you can do that, and you do get that happening. Yeah. So what you can do is have a sort of strategic campaign of not hiving votes off the main challenger, but it's a really big ask to ask, particularly the Greens and Labour, to do something that helps the Tory get elected. But the prize is that Farage is finished.
He's out of politics. We really need that. But he could still do lots of damage outside politics. He'll still be invited to Question Time. I mean, Zia Yusuf's not an MP. He's never on the telly.
Oh, no. Nigel Farage could absolutely, in theory, carry on leading the party, have zero parliamentary investigations, wouldn't stop the police ones. And because he's no longer an MP, that actually might get the media to chill a bit and not pay as much attention to him. And then he could stand in the general election. If Reform UK do rescue themselves, don't stop him becoming Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Only he doesn't have all the hassle in between. He could 100% do that. However, he'd be humiliated.
Yeah.
The stench of defeat would be around him.
Which would be great. By the way, Giles Watling, apparently, he played the vicar in Bread, who got married to Aveline, of which I was a choir boy at that wedding. The Proddy Vicar. I was a choir boy at that wedding. It was filmed in the St. Mary the Virgin Church in West Derby, where I was a choir boy when I was a kid. So we were allowed to be there when they filmed Aveline's wedding. The most watched episode of a British sitcom in history. I think it was 21 million people watched that.
All right.
Back in the day when you only had 2 channels, so you had to watch.
That's what effectively got me my Jaguar in the end. Because of course there was Joey in his Jag, and then you talk about it at school, and it becomes this thing in a working class area. Like if you get a Jag, it means you've made it. It's like you don't anchor after a Rolls Royce or anything because that's too high up.
Yeah.
But you can get a Jag. It's possible to like work hard and get a Jag.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I got my last car, the first time I actually had the money to just get what I wanted within reason, I went, well, it's probably my last chance to get a Jag because Jags nowadays. Have you seen the new Jag? It looks like a toy out of a cornflakes packet.
Does it? Is this the electric one?
Horrific. Yeah, it looks. Well, they've had an electric one out for a few years now. Yeah. They're fine. The I-Pace looks fine. It's just not a Jaguar. It doesn't
look like a Jag.
But they're bringing this new one out now, which you can't say doesn't look. It looks like a toy out of a cornflakes packet. I don't know what they've done. I don't know how. Like, apparently it's a really good car.
Yeah,
but it looks
shite.
It'd be embarrassing to drive it. I'd be embarrassed.
Fair enough. Well, this week we hired a electric car in Mallorca, and it was a dream. It was brilliant. You just plug it in at the side of the road for free. They let you just charge it for free. You just plug it in.
Is this during the daytime when the solar's going mad? So
no, I suppose just any time. You just if there's a space, you can just plug it in. There's a bunch of these. There's not many of them, but if you manage to get one, and also at Lidl, you get 15 minutes for half an hour of free charging. It's not very fast, but I mean,
it's 22 kilowatt.
It's like them giving you like a kind of petrol.
Yeah.
There you go, mate.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thanks, cheers. I'm sorry, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to petrol cars. Although there was an article in, I don't know, the Telegraph or something this week about, it might have been the Independent, about that 1% of people who have tried electric car and they've gone back to a gas guzzler because they couldn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't read it. I saw that. Yeah. I would just think to myself, like, there was a time 5 years ago. So when I did get my current car, I knew that the next one would be electric. And that's because at the time there were still issues. There were still anxieties. They've all gone now. They don't exist.
Yeah.
Do not exist. Range anxiety doesn't exist. No. Like I've been, the one I'm getting, people keep saying because its competitor is the BMW iX3. Oh, but that's got longer range. And it's like, it doesn't matter. My car has a range way beyond my bladder, and that's all that matters. So if I'm going on even my day trip, I could have gone to Jodrell Bank and back and still comfortably had enough charge in the car I'm waiting months for. No problem. If I go down to Torquay, I mean, that's going to be for a holiday. So you'll stop at services. You need to stop for a piss anyway.
Yeah. So it takes 20 minutes on a fast charger. 20 minutes, mate.
And the car I'm getting don't even take that. Right? Really? Honestly, you're talking 10 minutes to put.
You're not getting a Tesla, are you? You're not getting a Tesla, are you?
No, it's a Merc.
Okay, good.
But nonetheless, nowadays they are so efficient. Even some of the budget ones have really good range now. The modern ones, and of course, you can precondition it. So when it's a cold day, you can have it plugged in. Don't even use the battery. You can just say, "I'm going out in half an hour. Warm it up for me."
Yeah.
And there'll be no defrosting of the windscreens to be done. The cabin will be nice and nice temperature. Mine's got a heat pump as well.
Yeah.
So
you put the AC on a hot day before you get it. Just go on the app and just press.
Yeah, well, that's AC. It. Again, if you've got it plugged in, it doesn't even draw off. It'll get it to a comfortable temperature. Yeah. Drawing off your mains.
We on the day of the eclipse this week, we spent most of the day in the car at the car park, but on the cliffs. And we just had the AC on blasting, and it used about 20%.
I'm missing a conversation here. I don't think Phil would appreciate Chumbawamba chucking water over him. Was this John Prescott? So all I would say about that is, it's not specifically because it's John Prescott. I don't like rude behaviour like that. Like I never even made light of the milkshakes being chucked on Nigel Farage because but it just lets him whine and play the victim. There's no need for it. There's no. I don't think politicians are, should be targets of assault, even if it's like a non-physically harmful assault. There's no need for it. If you don't agree with someone, just don't agree with them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a need to assault people.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is a milkshake the same as?
No, it's not. But it's
Like
but
punching
nonetheless,
someone,
there's no need for it.
like
You
that
can
Labour
you can go along
MP
with a
who
banner.
just
You can go
lamps
because
someone
you
outside
now
the
give him an
nightclub.
excuse. You now give him an excuse to play the victim. Like, you know, and it's
but
it's
you know what these
basically you
people are like,
saying
Phil. They're always going to be the victim. They're
No, but
always
if
it's
they've got
always
nothing
someone
to hang it
else's
onto,
fault.
they've got
Everyone
nothing to hang it
knows
onto.
someone in their life like Farage. It's never their fault.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
always
but
they're always the victim in everything.
They only
even though they've
get
done something really
credibility
horrible.
if they're actually attacked. So Trump has credibility because some bastard shot at him and missed.
Yeah. Well, he
Although
did
he
say
claims they
that.
didn't miss.
Some people did say that when that picture went out of him with his fist in the air.
Oh yeah, it looks incredibly
almost
contrived,
shot,
but
like,
still, at the same time,
that was
I
it.
don't
He'd
believe
won the election at that point.
Yeah. It's been a hugely powerful image for him. Hugely powerful.
Yeah.
And it gets him out of all sorts of things. Like, he can now claim, you know, to have as president, if he wants to get out of something, he can just claim there's a security threat. Who's going to gainsay him? He has been shot at, actually more than once. And as president, of course, he's going to be getting lots of threats towards him anyway. It's totally credible.
Yeah. Well,
Farage, it's a little less so, but people have thrown things at him.
So the National Crime Agency and the Met are both looking at Farage's party at the moment. So, you know,
Yes.
BFUC PLC or whatever it's called. Right. I mean, what could realistically happen? You know, let's not try and get carried away and say, oh, they're all going to go to hard labour.
It depends where they can track the money to. So, first of all, if they find, and there's a lot of evidence we've just had from the papers, but if they find that the money that Fiona Cottrell donated was actually from George Cottrell, then a criminal offence has been committed by at least George Cottrell. It's not going to bang him up in prison for 10 years or anything. But what if it didn't come from George Cottrell? What if it came from Sergei of St. Petersburg and they can find evidence of that? Now, if they've had money, if they can trace, now again, this is a big if, because transferring it in terms of crypto is always very tricky, and it was transferred to Cottrell in crypto form, and the whole point of crypto is to try and evade the authorities. But if they can find that, that's incredibly serious. If they can find evidence that someone at Reform UK knew about it and didn't do enough to check it or something like that, that would be very, very serious. But of course, these are huge ifs.
And then they'll just lie, won't they? They'll just say, "Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know where it came from."
Well, either way, the fact that they will have been, even if you can't prove they did know, the fact that they'll have been funded by Putin would be hugely powerful. And for that, Cottrell could find himself going to prison.
Yeah.
And he's very close to Farage. He's so close to Farage. You know what he calls Farage?
What?
Daddy. That's
Daddy.
serious, by the way. He calls him Daddy.
I know, it's horrific, isn't it? So he's not a sugar daddy to Farage. He's more of a sugar spawn.
Yeah.
To the frog man. That is Farage. Interesting conversation going on in the chat. Where people are agreeing that Phil saying, Phil, we shouldn't have violence in politics. So I agree, mostly. But as Arden Warwick says, Farage doesn't need an excuse to be the victim. He'll just make it up.
But when you give him the images of him being attacked, then you've got to think about, because it doesn't matter what Farage says. What matters is what people believe, right? If Farage kept constantly claiming security threats when no one had ever
he was hounded out of a pub, and they wrote off the car because everyone was hammering on his car. No one ever heard about it. No one shared any footage of things like that. He didn't report it to the insurance company, Phil, because it didn't happen.
No one believes that. But there's images of him being assaulted, and people will believe that, and they'll believe if you can throw one thing at him, you can throw something else at him.
True.
So you just don't give them any ammunition.
Yeah. Frank is pointing out that Farage says that he has been hacked by the Russians.
He did drop that one pretty quickly. He did try and claim it. He dropped it quite quickly because it was so utterly ridiculous.
Something else we've got to talk about. So Richard Tice this week launched a legal challenge against the Guardian newspaper for reporting about his dodgy finances. I mean,
well, it's more specifically against the NCA. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to use it to intimidate journalists because they're trying to force the names of the journalists who took the leaked information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's actually trying to do it not to, although in theory the NCA is his target, he's trying to do it to intimidate journalists into silence.
Yeah.
Make journalists the target of violent people.
Yeah. But I mean, Farage has definitely made his position worse by calling this election.
Yes.
And this is the silly season, and this is a very silly time, isn't it? With a joke candidate
this week
getting nearly 10,000 votes. That's never happened before in British politics.
Honestly, it's this week, from my point of view, I'm not trying to claim some great sympathy, but normally at this point, given that I've had no distractions this week, I should have been able to have all my videos done. I've got one video. I've got my video for today and one for tomorrow. I've still got to do another one for tomorrow. I've got to do it today. It's because the news is so slow. There's always things to talk about, but if you're looking at it and thinking, yeah, I could do that, but it's not going to get that many views. You don't want to do too many of them. So it's in August, it hasn't always been like this, because when we had the Tories, there was always scandals. The scandals don't stop because it's summer. In fact, sometimes they increase.
Yeah.
But last year it was like this. Last year I had my worst month for years since I'd started the channel, really. This month isn't as bad because Farage, Binface, and to a lesser extent, Trump and Burnham have provided some source material. Binface is pretty good. This is why I'm conflicted, you see, because on the one hand, if there's a chance for Farage to be beaten in the next by-election, I would like that to happen. But Binface is very good for views.
And he's very funny. He's a comedian.
He is a very funny professional
guy.
Comedian, and he is, as someone who's a professional comedian by rights, he is funny. Of course, he is.
Yeah. Did you see the question when he was asked about what the things he admires about Nigel Farage?
Yeah.
And he just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe if there was a by-election and he did stand, I think some of the people who didn't vote in this election because they just thought, well, what's the point, might turn out next time and vote.
They might, but I would still say Farage will. Just the vote will be split all over the place, I think, if Binface stands.
Do you know what would have been nice?
At the same time, it might be that Farage would win anyway, in which case let Binface. I mean, I'm not going to say
it would have been nice if the number of people who voted for Farage had gone down from 2024, but it actually went up by nearly 1,000.
Yeah, but that's because, ironically, that is also testament to how good Binface's campaign was, and well done to all the activists who went out. I saw some of them in their bin ads. And we thought we had one down here, actually, walking down the street. We thought, you're in the wrong place, mate. And it turned out just to be a really weird sun hat. But it looked like a bin from a distance. But that obviously made Farage supporters a bit threatened, because probably, I suppose, the activists were saying as well, which is perfectly true, it's not just about him winning, it's about him winning big. And he didn't win big.
No, we didn't.
I mean, normally 63% is it's more than a majority. It's way more than a majority.
But there's no
anyone's
other candidates.
Happy with that. But yeah, in the context, that was.
Didn't David Davis win by 73 something?
Yeah, I can't remember that.
He stood in his own constituency.
The turnout for that was I was looking up early. It's 34%, but he won by a massive margin, as you'd expect. But there was no Binface back then.
But there were no other candidates. No other.
There were no other major political candidates, but there were. At the time, that was the record-breaking number of candidates. There were lots of fringe candidates, 28.
Yeah. Elle says 1 in 4 voted for Binface. I've done the math. That's a quarter. Yeah. But it also shows that they weren't votes for Binface, really. They were votes against Farage.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why I don't think that Farage or Reform could ever realistically form a government in its own right. Maybe as a junior partner in a coalition, but they don't play well with others. And it's looking like Jenrick, Braverman, Kruger, they're all lined up for losing their seats in the next election.
Robert Jenrick, I will laugh my tits off at the next election because he could easily get himself caught. Imagine the scenario, right? Never mind him just losing his seat. He might be finished long before then. Imagine the scenario where Nigel Farage doesn't lose this seat or anything, but worse still, he actually just says, I've had enough. I don't know whether he can. I don't know how much hold the donors have on him or how, but maybe if they cannot win power, if they accept that they cannot win power, they might actually just let him go and not blackmail him. But let's imagine a scenario where Nigel Farage genuinely is done. He takes his money and pisses off into the sunset.
Yeah.
What then happens? I can imagine if Reform UK decide, as in the strategists and people like Zia Yusuf and the professional people there, if they decide that it's no longer a viable vehicle for government, they no longer need to appeal to more moderate voters, at which point there is nothing really stopping them merging with Restore Britain. In reality, Restore Britain moves over to them or whatever, or they move over to that, whatever. But it will have to be done without the likes of Jenrick, because that will be the Restore Britain insistence. None of these, we don't want these Tories in here. And if they're not having to plan for government and they're not having to appeal to moderates, they can just rest back into their comfort zone of appealing only to the grassroots. They don't need those Tories.
Yeah.
So Robert Jenrick could end up completely screwed.
Wow.
Crawling back.
Yeah.
Kevin, can I come back?
They can't. No.
No.
They can't. Gareth, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, my friend. Reform tellers were apparently trying to turn voters away, saying they had had the wrong ID. They had to be moved away by presiding officers. You can only ask for your polling, not only. Wow, that's pretty bad. Hey, yeah, Phil, your camera's shaking about a bit there. You know.
Oh, sorry, it's me. It's me. I'm hot.
And then Hidden Knight, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Bobby J, you can't put a price on democracy. 5 million says otherwise. How much did Farage Fest cost? Well, I mean, this by-election cost £350,000, wasn't it, to the people of Clacton?
I can't remember now.
There's going to be another one.
Because the ballots, I know that producing the ballot papers and mailing and all the rest of it cost 4 times more than usual because they were huge. And it's not just more paper.
Oh, wow.
Actually working out how to fold them up and put them in an envelope apparently was a logistical problem.
Yeah.
So
they fitted into the slot in the ballot boxes.
Everything. Also, there was some thought had to go into that. And the tables had to be doubled up as well for people to count them. So yeah, I mean, because the result took a lot longer than I thought it would, but that was a combination of the turnout being much higher than I expected, and also the fact that it would have been, counting would have been more onerous because they're massive, these ballot papers.
Francis, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Roger wants to draw attention to the fact that Phil said that Farage beat off 33 other candidates in your last video, you kinky bugger. And Andy saying it's an earthquake. But yeah, how many people didn't vote? 45,000. Well, I mean that's pretty typical for a by-election.
Yeah, I mean that was for a by-election, 44% in any by-election. I mean, let me just have a look. What was the turnout for even Makerfield? And that was a really important one. That was bad. I know that had a good,
wasn't it?
Because that was literally, normally a by-election is just determining some faceless MP. Yeah, that turnout was 58.8%. That one everyone knew was to determine the next prime minister. So that had a big one. But normally a by-election, I mean, let's have a look at.
Do you know something else as well about the Binface side of things? Binface didn't do any campaigning really in Clacton. He made a funny video.
He did do a couple.
He didn't really have a team that were going door to door and telling people to go and vote for him or anything like that. He didn't have any ground game, as they say.
I mean, Gorton and Denton had 47.6%. There was a huge insurgency there for the Greens. That's only a little bit more than this one, where there was only one major party standing.
A bit of also good news. Lawrence Fox lost his deposit and even got fewer votes than the rejoin EU candidate who actually came second in this.
Well, they will have campaigned. He was probably found stoned in a gutter somewhere. Yeah, the Runcorn and Helsby one, that was again a big one, and that was 46%.
But Sarah
So it's very
Puchin only
comparable
won by
with
6
normal
votes in that.
Yeah, it was very comparable with normal
Yeah.
Westminster by-elections of recent times.
But this is the best
and
that
yet
Farage can do in the most safe constituency for refuck in the country.
So this is what I mean. The national picture becomes very bad for him. It doesn't matter if he carries on winning in.
But so many people hate him. This is the thing. Like over 50% of the voting population hate Nigel Farage because they blame him for splitting the nation down the middle, which he totally did. You know, this guy has done more for division in this nation than anyone since Oliver Cromwell.
Some of them also know, the ones that are a bit more critical, that he's not making any promises he can back up on. All of his promises, I'm going to give you money and you money and you money. And he doesn't ever say I was going to pay for it. There'll be some vague waving of the arm about, oh, we'll cut it off welfare like the Tories. It's like, Or we won't be spending as much on immigration. Nigel Farage, Reform UK are promising to spend more on immigration than any other party.
Yeah.
They are promising, they are committing more UK tax money to immigration than any other party because they are talking about rounding people up, putting them into camps or whatever.
Getting the Royal Navy to shoot people out the water.
And all this. Navy? Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe he would want to do that if he could, because then that allows the Russian ships to have carte blanche. Because what are those British naval ships doing in British waters? They're keeping an eye on Russian ships.
Yes.
Right. So they're protecting us effectively from the Russian Navy. So I totally believe that Nigel Farage wants to come up with some pretext to allow the Russian Navy to have complete dominance over our waters.
Yeah. Yeah. So
which is how I would characterize it. Again, if I was Burnham, I know the media can't. So if I was Burnham, I'd characterize that policy as letting the Russian Navy have complete run of our waters.
All in all, this fiasco, and it is a fiasco, created by Farage. He didn't have to do this. He could have declared the gift back in 2024. There isn't a reason. There isn't a law against taking that kind of money.
No,
the problem is that he did not declare it when he absolutely should have. He did declare smaller sums, like there was a 10,000 gift that he was given, that he declared, and he just didn't declare
always declared him on. He hadn't always declared him without them being spotted by the media first.
Yeah. But I mean, just in terms of like what did Farage actually achieve by putting Clacton through another election? They're going to have another one in a few months' time, as we say. Do you think that when the electorate goes back to the polling booths early next year or whenever it is, do you think there's going to be a few more people just going, "Oh, screw this guy"? I mean, he's messing us around. He's just playing us.
That's the risk. The risk is he's made it harder to win the serious by-election. I think he still will. Yeah. But again, I'll tell you another thing, and this is again because Clacton, like at the end of the day, half of Clacton are just basically retired bitter Thatcherites, right? So Clacton's probably lost to us. I keep saying, most of Essex we should really just do. Have you ever seen Despicable Me 3?
Yes.
We should do that with Essex, right? Only not stop them doing it with the giant laser doll. For those who don't know, by the way, the big bad guy wants to cut around Hollywood, attach balloons to it, and send it off into space.
Send it into space. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's unlikely. I have to say, as a physicist, so we just let it float into the sky. Let it be Denmark's problem. But would it be Denmark's or the Netherlands it would hit first? You're the geographer, you tell me. Anyway,
what, from Clacton?
From Essex,
France. Maybe the Netherlands.
Even better.
Sorry, Belgium. Maybe Belgium.
Okay. Depends on the prevailing winds, maybe. So
it could end up in Norway. I don't know. No, it could end up
in Siberia.
The new array of wind turbines in Dogger Bank. It could run ashore there, and then all these gams would have to look at wind turbines all day. Just wind turbines, as far as the eye can see, and they'll cry themselves.
They'll provide a lot of the hot air, and it's not very windy.
Yeah, true.
So. But anyway, ultimately, if Clacton wants to vote that way, that's up to Clacton. I feel sorry for anyone in Clacton who's got a brain, but it is what it is.
Look, at least 9,500 people in Clacton are all right.
Yeah,
that's over 1 in 4. They're all right.
And there's probably a few others who, in all seriousness, just wanted to go to the beach that day. And but it's the rest of the country. Nigel Farage can do no harm as Clacton's MP.
Yeah.
He's not even attempting to.
Yeah.
But so it's really about the national picture. And what happened this year as a result of this by-election, it increased the amount of coverage of his sleaze.
Yeah.
And the next time there's a by-election, there will also be coverage of that. And they have to report on what's causing it. So he's just teed up. He's just teed up for the foreseeable future constant news stories about his sleaze.
Yeah.
And every time he attacks the press or refuses to go out or something like that, remember, he has for years been providing them with easy clicks. They still want the easy clicks. So they need to report on Nigel Farage. If he will not, play ball with them, they'll just report on negative stuff about him because Nigel Farage gets clicks, right?
Yeah.
So he has just made a rod for his own back.
As you know, as you well know. I mean, these guys, Trump and Farage, you hate them, but they're quite lucrative to talk about.
If you've got the right angle. I mean, I'm not saying it's always a guaranteed banker, but for the mainstream media, they are. At the moment, I was hoping Andy Burnham might give you a bit more. I mean, he's supposed to have been out meeting the public this week. I've not seen any coverage of it.
Well, can I talk about? We've only got a few minutes left. Can we just talk quickly about Andy Burnham this week? There's been a lot of criticism for the fact that we're now in the 5th heat wave of the summer, and then Andy Burnham finally has a Cobra meeting, and he just comes out and goes, "We're going to ban disposable barbecues."
Well, had they even done that? I heard he was sort of suggesting maybe you don't sell them. Has he actually banned them?
Yeah, he called on retailers to voluntarily withdraw disposable barbecues.
This is like Boris Johnson before he ordered the lockdown, going, "Well, we'd really prefer it if you just didn't go out." Yeah. And then people went out and he went, "Oh, you bastards, I'm going to have to ban it now." So, yeah, I know.
But I think he's really missed a trick there to get on top of this and to reassure the public. There was a train derailment yesterday down in Lewis in the south. And that happened probably, and we don't know for sure, but probably because of the track buckles.
Yeah, it could easily be.
Because our infrastructure's not made for this heat.
No.
And I'm sick of people going, "Oh, but it's hotter in Marbella." Yeah, but that's been built for the heat. They've dealt with the heat for hundreds of years. You know how to build stuff.
We've even had, I went to Sherwood Forest earlier this month, to view for the first time the dead Major Oak. I like watching over a corpse. But even the Telegraph of this week been explaining that, we're having to replace our glorious English oaks with like foreign varieties because the oaks can't take this heat.
No.
They can't cope with it.
No.
We've killed our most famous tree.
Yeah. So what else have we had this week? We've had the high street planning crackdown. So this is about the proliferation of vape shops, gambling shops, gaming centres, adult gaming centres.
It's a load of stuff that had already been planned. He's bringing it forward. Things like as well, which is also like a Binface type policy. Bit of a crackdown on, renewals and stuff like that.
Well, also rogue high street businesses to allow, giving police and councils more power to shut down places that are linked to, or maybe allegedly linked to, organised crime. Also, there's been a lot in the press this week about the water companies, and they're putting up the water bills. They're nobody's favourite people at the moment. Wow. And this is another potential win for Burnham if he takes it to get a hold of this. But do you think that this is just too much of a mess now? We've had 30-odd years.
Whether it's too much of a mess, it is
35 years.
Like I keep saying, your problem is that privatisation, it was never going to work in the first place, but it's provably failed now. But your problem keeps going back to this. You can absolutely let them go to the wall, and they shouldn't bail any of them out.
Yeah.
But if you nationalise them, then we still need the leaks fixed. We still need the reservoirs building because I keep reminding people in 40 years of privatisation, when was it privatised?
91. So it'd be 35 years.
35 years. So 35 years of privatisation, not a single reservoir was built by any, and there's dozens of these private water companies. Some are bigger than obviously Thames Water is the biggest. That serves like a quarter of England or something stupid, doesn't it? But none of them built a reservoir, and now they've got the cheek to moan when they issue a hosepipe ban. Well, we haven't got enough in the reservoirs because you didn't build any bastard reservoirs. What
And we
sort
just
of
had the
water
wettest.
company?
We just had the wettest winter on record.
Yeah.
Like just now. Anyway, listen, we've only got a couple of minutes left. If you want to drop one more super chat in, we can release the very special Binfetti.
The point is, we cannot afford to pay for that ourselves.
We can't afford
to
pay for
the taxpayer cannot afford the reservoir. So it has to come from private borrowing. So then it's like, but this is why Andy Burnham, I think, has been quite cunning and talked about deprivatizing, because then because you think, well, that's nationalisation, it doesn't have to be. It just means so it can be not for profit or something.
Asylum accommodation came into the news this week because Burnham's talking about moving people into places where the rent might be higher, but spreading it out a little bit better than it is at the moment.
Sending them to communities that aren't gammons.
Yeah,
trying to send them, like, place round here. If you put some asylum seekers up round here, do you know what? We don't have flags up lampposts round here. It's conservative, right? But we don't have people with we don't have. I've not seen a single flag up a lamppost round here
with the torches and the pictures.
Yeah, we don't. So I'm not going to say people around here are decent or anything, but they're not gammons. So that's what they're talking about. And yes, it'll be more expensive. The Telegram it'll be more expensive. Yeah, whose fault's that then?
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do. I mean, how expensive is it when you have to keep breaking up, paedophile protest groups? So
well, exactly. All right, Phil. Well, listen, I need to go get some sleep.
I'm going to have 5 out of 5. Did you do the thing?
I did. I'm about to. I was just leading up to that. So
I won't see it. But,
so here tonight, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, and Colin Baker, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, which allows me to do this.
We've got Dr. Who in the chat.
Big thank you to Mike Dix, who's made me a Bin Graham face Fetty. Here we go. Yes, how cool is that? Thank you very much. There he is, Bin Fetty. With his little hat on. He's got a little hat and glasses. Thank you. I don't know if that was worth waiting for, but it might be. Phil, are you?
I'm behind on the stream, so I have to.
Can we get a thumbs up? Can we get a thumbs up, Phil? There you go. Look at that. We got a thumbs up from Phil. Ta-da! Okay, so thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much to my co-host, Phil Moorhouse, who you can find on @adifferentbias, and you're going to be doing a live show tomorrow, Phil. Is that right?
Yes, I'm hoping it'll be a bit cool. Well, it should be a bit cooler tomorrow.
Okay, fingers crossed.
I will.
Do you want to come up here to Durham? We're only on 23 degrees. It's the hottest part of the day.
Like crafty wank there, mightn't I?
Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. He's not a very nice man. He's putting like.
Whereas I've got no chance. I've got no chance of bumping into Andrea Jenkins around here, even though she's my mare, because she doesn't really get out and about.
Is she there? Does she live there, or does she live hundreds of miles away like Farage?
No, she lives in like Sheffield or something. There's still an argument going on about that, but she don't live around here.
Yeah. Mitchell says, "Don't let the racists win and destroy the UK." We're doing our best to stop that from happening, but I feel like culturally we're a little bit different from the US, and although British people might do daft things now and again, it's more silly than sinister, I think, usually.
Well, I don't know. I just think people aren't as split. It's not as easy to split the country down the middle because we don't just have two parties you're supposed to congregate around.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I'm not a sociologist, for whatever reason, we're not as bad as America in terms of this sort of tribal bullshit. We don't have people who go around on pickup trucks with Jesus wielding a machine gun or anything.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, that's one of the good things in a way. The fact that these nutters in America are wanting the likes of Tommy Robinson and so on to you've got to do these things for us. Like Tommy Robinson now has got his followers to carry around crosses like the Ku Klux Klan. It don't work in this country.
Yeah.
Even on the gammons, it don't work.
Yeah. We're culturally different, and I think there's a big difference in terms of America is one of the most paranoid countries I've ever been to. So many of them think you're out to get them all the time, and you got to come and take that stuff away from them.
I mean, one of the remarkable things you see, if you watch Facebook, like YouTube as I do, the number of channels you'll see from Americans living in Britain now, or sometimes living in another country in Europe. And it doesn't, every few weeks, I don't even subscribe to any of these people, but every few weeks you'll see something flag up about the lies they were told about Europe. Like, and it's to stop Americans getting nice things like universal healthcare, because they'll be told, oh yeah, but in countries that have got universal healthcare, you never actually get the healthcare because you're queuing up forever.
Yeah.
And you know, so you get these Americans who come and live in the UK or other parts of Europe, and they do these channels about life in another country, as you would.
Yeah.
And every now and then they'll do a video on just the things they were told about life in this country that's complete bollocks. They just had these lies fed to them, so they didn't demand better in the richest country in the world.
The richest country in the world. To make that very clear, it is the richest country in the world. It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy that they put up with this.
And yet they cannot have basic things.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, we have people complaining in this country because the NHS is not as good as it was or should be.
Yeah.
And yet no one gets bankrupted because they break the leg or have to give birth in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. I often say the more you travel, the more you see, you know, Britain's all right. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's all right. And we're going to have to leave it there, Phil, and we'll give Brad W, who's dropped the final super chat in the super chat fund. Thank you very much. For £5, saying Nigel Farage's Reform Party is an anagram for pale RC manfrog grifter. Perfect. Thank you very much, Brad, for that. If you like what you've been watching, or not, whatever, just if you want to press the thumbs up or the thumbs down, it's up to you. If you're not already subscribed, if you're watching this on catch up, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon if you are subscribed, because we're going live tonight for the Friday night social at 9:30. So please join us for that. It's the first social in a couple of weeks, so please come along to that. And in the meantime, thanks you so much for watching. Thanks to my wonderful co-host, Phil Moorhouse. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.